So Patty earned her bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees in mechanical engineering at Penn State. She's gone on to become an extremely successful contributor in a highly technical leadership role at Boeing Company. In addition to her ability to solve complicated technological and programmatic issues, Patty is gifted at bringing people together in cohesive teams to solve difficult challenges. One example is her work to protect our soldiers from the emerging threat of impoverished, explosive, improvised, good. I'd like them to be impoverished, but in fact they're improvised explosive devices, better known as IEDs. Her impact on Boeing's product lines will be seen for decades to come throughout the aerospace industry. Outside of her normal work responsibilities, Patty is an avid volunteer and mentor. She was also a very popular keynote speaker at last year's College of Engineering graduate. As one nominator said, her technical competence and extensive interpersonal and communication skills are evident in everything she does. I'm pleased to present Patty Stevens with the Alumni Fellow Award.
President Barron, thank you very much for that. It was a lovely introduction. And I'd also like to thank Dean Schwartz for the nomination and the Penn State Alumni Association. This is a wonderful honor. I've had a wonderful day here visiting with faculty and students, and I expect to also have a very fulfilling day tomorrow. I have a few guests here tonight, and I'd like to thank them for their support. I'm joined by my parents, Bill and Carol Walsh, who are also both Penn Staters. My husband, Ray, who I met here at Penn State. We went through graduate school together as well. And my children, Calvin and Everett, who I think are very grateful that I'm not going to make them do a cheer. So that's good. I'm also joined by three of my absolute favorite faculty here. Karen Tolley is the department head of mechanical engineering. Mike Alley, who is also a professor of mechanical engineering, who does amazing things with the students here and teaching them how to write and communicate. And Ed Smith, who was my PhD dissertation advisor from aerospace engineering. Thank you all for joining me tonight. So when I received notification that I won this award, like many of the other awardees, I was very humbled, and I felt like I was accepting this award on behalf of everybody who has helped me in my career. And I thought back, it was almost exactly 35 years ago this month when I was sitting at my desk in my bedroom at home, and I got the envelope in the mail. And it was the big envelope from Penn State, not the little envelope. And in that envelope, I was admitted to the College of Engineering, I was admitted to the honors program, and I received a scholarship offer to come to Penn State. And I thought back on that was just one in a long series of events where somebody from Penn State reached out to me and said, I or we believe in you and you can do it. And it's been such a theme in my life. As I was preparing my comments tonight, I think so much of this is an ode to many people in this room, the faculty and staff and the other alumni here, because it is such a community of commitment to each other, commitment to each other's growth, giving back to the university and giving back to each other. So I wanted to highlight a few things that Penn State has done for which I was the real beneficiary, and it feels like such a case study of the things that Penn State does really well. So first of all, that scholarship came from a gentleman named Lewis C. Cowley. And I didn't have to go back to my notes to that. 35 years later, I still remember Mr. Cowley's name. I never met him. I believe that it was part of his estate planning that I had that scholarship. But of course, that scholarship made a big difference in my ability to go to college and not be burdened with student loans when I graduated. But it said, wow, I'm special. Like, I got a scholarship. I can really do this. And I was, so this was in the 80s, and I was a woman going into engineering. So it was a big deal to have that support. I also have, as I think through my undergraduate years and the faculty that inspired me, and their names still flow off my tongue, of John Cimbala, John Lemoncusa, Marty Trethewey. These were gifted educators and lecturers that inspired me, and I wanted to be like them, which is why I continue to go on to get my graduate degrees. But some things also changed along the way. If you notice, none of my role models back then were people who looked like me. There was only one woman faculty member in mechanical engineering during my undergraduate degree. The second one was hired the year I graduated with my undergraduate. When I was doing my PhD, and I took a gap, was when they hired the third woman faculty member. Today I had lunch with many of the women in mechanical engineering, and we tried to count how many women faculty members are on the mechanical engineering faculty today, and we couldn't figure it out. We didn't have enough fingers and toes to add them up. So it's just such a change. I also think about the faculty that really dedicate themselves to making their world so big that they can support the dreams of their graduate students. So Ed Smith, who's here tonight, founded the Vertical Lift Research Center here at Penn State, and it was something he did when he was a very young faculty member. He and I were reminiscing that we remember the day that we met, and he was talking about his dream to bring this center that would be funded by the Army and NASA and would educate so many students and be a central place of advanced learning for the faculty. And I really believed in his vision, and I was very grateful that he believed in me and brought me on as one of his graduate students. And then my final comment as I think through this relationship I've had with Penn State for over 35 years has to do with the engagement of the alumni and the mentoring and the connection that the alumni have together. And I've got two great examples of that. One was one of my great career mentors was a gentleman named Steve Glossman, who I suspect had a big hand in putting together my package and helping Karen Tolley with it. Steve interviewed me when I was a student here at Penn State for my first job at Boeing. I ended up not taking that job, but I eventually ended up going back to Boeing after graduate school. And Steve hired me at least 3 times, we're thinking maybe 4 times throughout my career. But there was the connection built on Penn State. When I came into Boeing and we had that Penn State connection, I was just one of the many that he spent his personal time and commitment in helping the employees that were a couple years behind him in being successful. And he spent hours and hours in building the relationship between Boeing and Penn State, and to such a hand in that relationship as it stands today. And I'm just amazed at how much I benefited from his giving attitude there. And then my final comment is in how the faculty have reached out to me as an alumnus and to others. I think about what Karen Tolley has done in mechanical engineering. She has this fan club of alumni that will do anything for the department. And it's not just because we love Penn State, but it's because Penn State continues to give back to us. As she gives us challenges to support the department, there's always a benefit to us as we grow, we meet each other. So my career has been enhanced because she keeps asking me to give back to the department. And for that, I am very grateful. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. I once again want to say thank you very much. This is a tremendous honor. And as I said, I feel like I'm accepting it on behalf of everybody who's helped me on my career, and so many of them have been Penn Staters. Thank you.